Hi class, this is Dr. Karsten, and I wanted to do something a little different for you today. As part of our reading assignment, you are going to be reading this poem and then doing the question set, but I wanted to read the poem for you. I'm going to read it 2 times. The first time I'm just going to read it through, so just listen, enjoy, follow along. And then the second time, I'm going to be pausing and just kind of wondering out loud a little bit, or maybe posing some questions to think about. And these are going to help you out when you're answering the question, so make sure you listen to it both times. So the title of this poem is Grown Up, and let's go ahead and listen to it. I used to be a superhero, soaring high from tree to tree, with a cape around my shoulders. I was as happy as could be. Grow up, my brother said. By 4, I'd made a rocket ship. It took me all the way to Mars. It started out as a cardboard box before I steered it to the stars. Grow up, my sister said. At 5, I could read and write in every language ever heard. The pictures gave me all I needed, and crayon scrawls stood in for words. Grow up, my best friend said. At 6, I put my cape away. At 7, a box was just a box. By 8, I read and wrote with ease. I could tell the time on clocks. You're growing up, my mother said. I miss my cape. Sometimes I think that boxes still could make cool forts, but I have no time for make-believe. I'm busy writing school reports. I don't always like being grown up. So I'm going to read it again, and this time I'm just going to kind of wonder a little aloud as I go. So grown up again. I used to be a superhero, soaring high from tree to tree, with a cape around my shoulders. I was as happy as could be. So right here, just ask yourself, is this real life or is this pretend? Is this what this kid is doing and pretending? So that's the first wondering. So then, grow up, my brother said. So now let's take a look at the second stanza. By 4, I'd made a rocket ship. It took me all the way to Mars. It started out as a cardboard box before I steered it to the stars. So can any of you remember doing something like this when you were a kid? Because I remember convincing one of my friends that my little plastic pool was going to take off for the moon and we were going on a trip. She was not very happy. Grow up, my sister said. So now let's go to the next one. At 5, I could read and write in every language ever heard. The pictures gave me all I needed, and crayon scrawls stood in for words. I want to really focus on this line because I think that might be a little confusing to some of you. Ask yourself, is this kid really reading and writing in every language at 5? Or is this, again, another make-believe or a game that this child is playing? Because here you can see the pictures were basically telling the story, and here the crayon scrawls stood in for words, which means that this kid was just kind of scribbling pretend words underneath. So they're not actually writing words, they're doing crayon scrawls instead. Grow up, my best friend said. At 6, I put my cape away. At 7, a box was just a box. By 8, I read and wrote with ease. I could tell the time on clocks. So now, what do you see happening here? What is the tone here? How would you read this? Would you read this with pride, or would you read this the way that I just read it? Kind of a little wistful. You're growing up, my mother said. I miss my cape. Sometimes I think that boxes still could make cool forts, but I have no time for make-believe. I'm busy writing school reports. I don't always like being grown up. Do you sometimes feel that way? Do you wish that you could still do those things? Or maybe do you still do those things? Okay, so there were some thoughts. Some of those might help to clarify what the poem was about, but I definitely wanted to give you guys that reading. So you guys can go ahead now and you can read it for yourselves, and then you can go ahead and answer the question set. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in our Google Classroom.